started in 2009 as a physical security company representing predominantly Cisco Systems physical security products, which are video surveillance, video analytics, large storage, servers and whatnot. But we found that the business could not scale dramatically on a national basis or even on a revenue basis. And we felt that we were going to be locked into a regional type of business, and we didn't want that. So the invention or the introduction or the wide-scale acceptance of cloud computing and cloud management of devices was a game changer for us. So we decided to focus on wireless networking, and as we went out and started marketing the wireless product predominantly from Cisco and their subsidiary Meraki, we found that it was a very crowded space. A lot of people moving to wireless, but a lot of companies that are serving them, and identified that that was going to be a fairly low margin opportunity. So in talking with customers, we found that they wanted less of a way to have another supplier present to them and propose to them than they did want a clear-cut way to pay for what they were buying. And with wireless, there's rarely a direct return on investment on that. So in talking with several folks on how we could do that, we came up with the idea that we could monetize one portion of that wireless network, namely the guest Wi-Fi portion. You may or may not have logged onto a guest Wi-Fi system at a restaurant or a hotel, but there's a significant cost associated with that to the provider. And most of them provide no monetization. And so if we were able to just slice off a part of that, we figured that we could go back to them with a very strong return on investment discussion. And that's what our business model is based upon. If you came up the 405, you may have noticed a lot of billboards along the way. And they're up and down all the freeways of the United States. And what's striking about these is that there's no advertising on them. And if you were driving up the freeway and identified that there was no ads on there, you might think there's a good business opportunity with putting some ads on there. Well, our thinking was the same, but we looked at the phone as the vehicle to deliver the advertising. But what would be the value proposition associated with that to get it on par with the advertising that you would see on that billboard? Now, we think we have a significant advantage because when you drive by a billboard at 60 miles an hour, your comprehension is going to be very low, and you're probably going to see it for best case 2 seconds. And you may not retain that for more than 30 seconds after you drive by if you're focused on your driving. But we identified a place where people are willing to watch a video advertisement in exchange for a new value proposition, that being guest Wi-Fi. So we took that same mentality and drop it on the phone once people hit the accept and connect button, as you may have experienced yourself, and drive an advertisement right to their handheld device with no additional infrastructure cost, similar to what you might pay to put a billboard in, because each consumer already has invested in that. Now, the business problem that we're solving is that more and more consumers would like to have free Wi-Fi wherever they go. That may not be you folks in this room because this is a fairly affluent audience, but if you go to a consumer who goes to a fitness facility and he's very cautious of what his cell phone data charges are, you get a very, very different mentality about is there Wi-Fi available. The problem with it is they all ask for it, but they don't realize that there's a cost associated with it, and it's significant. If you have 300, 400, or 1,000 facilities, the cost for each one might be $700 to $1,000, if not more, for enterprise class, secure guest Wi-Fi. There's typically not an ROI involved in that, so it's a big give and take in the IT world as to why do we need it. It's for our customers. They've already got a data plan, but they all want it. So they risk losing their customers to go from one restaurant to another place that does have Wi-Fi. If you look at a traveling business person who might stop at a Starbucks, half the reason they do it is because most of them have free Wi-Fi. And the businesses lack a dedicated line item to take care of that expense. So our idea was to take a simple 15 or 30 second ad, very tolerable, and insert it into the guest Wi-Fi process, and then allow them to move into the internet access that they so desire. Now, along the way, we will collect recurring advertising revenue from the ad networks that we are partnered with. We dynamically pull one of those ads off their server and serve it to the customer in less than 1 second typically. We also collect and will be selling anonymous data that we compile, which is of great value to a great many types of marketing organizations. The give and take with our partners, who are the network hosts, is the fact that we will be sharing the revenues that we generate with them every month. So we're we're basically renting space on their network to present our advertising in exchange for giving them a check back that helps pay for the network expenditures that they likely have already made. We retain 50 to 80% of the revenues that are collected, so it represents a very high margin recurring revenue stream that we're in pursuit of. The market opportunity is created by the fact that mobile ads are growing from a 4% of advertising budgets up to 29% as soon as 2018, because everyone is staring at their phones nonstop now. So they're abandoning TV, and they're looking for a new place to make sure they get connections with the eyeballs. In 2014, expenditures were $50 billion, and next year they're going to, or excuse me, in 2015, they were estimated to be at $60 billion. Now our products, which are called Our Ads and Your Ads, are two separate flavors of the same type of process. But either one runs on new or existing wireless networks as long as they're not the consumer grade that you might install at your house. They're very simple to install as they don't involve any purchase of software or servers. So it's just a redirection into our cloud space to begin the connection that serves the video ads during the process.
Exciting needs a C. That's exiting.
In fact, it does. And now I know you're paying attention, so at least there's an upside in my spell checker, not grabbing me.
I do a lot of editing.
External and internal sourcing of ads accomplish two separate goals that I'll talk about in a second. And we are able to align with the customer goals. Some just want to pay for their network's hardware investment. Others want to take advantage of an on-premise advertising network. And you could think of a car dealership that might want to play a national car ad and land on an inventory page. Separate but equal business opportunities for us. Our Ads, which is where we find an advertiser either programmatically or with a direct relationship, is great for retailers who don't care what shows up on the phone. They just want to increase their revenues because they've had to spend so much. A fitness location, a restaurant, fast food, hotels, they are fairly indifferent to the login process, and it doesn't have much to do with their branding. However, if you go to the flip side of that is Your Ads, where we just store the ads for them and play them during connections from the cloud. A car dealer or a convention center who would like to resell that space to perhaps an exhibitor, every time an attendee at a trade show would log on, instead of looking at a lanyard or a literature bag, would now see a 30-second commercial on Sony's 10K TV that just got launched. See us at booth 100. Another very aggressive marketing play for that is at a casino who wants to promote either the flavor of their casino or the show or a new restaurant, and the landing page takes them right to a reservation page for a quick call to action. A stadium would like to take the ads off the scoreboard and put them right on the hands of the consumer sitting in the stadium. So the technology part of this is pretty straightforward. The consumer on a phone connects to a guest wireless access point, which is redirected from the central controller to our cloud servers. From there, we pull from any of a number of advertising networks that we set up relationships with, and they are serving up ads from all the types of consumer advertisers you would see on TV. They're sitting on servers as an inventory, and it's a real-time bidding system. So for 1,000 impressions of a video, at midnight we may only get $1. At noon we may get $30 for the same 1,000 plays. So it's a real-time system set up by, and the value is determined by the demographic of our very well-defined audience. The revenue opportunity is fairly dramatic. A mall chain with 70 locations that might see 5,000 visitors a day could see us generate a couple $100,000 a year for them to put back, or in total, which we would share with them, to put back toward the hardware investment that they may have in place already. It may also, if they have it on an operating lease, offset that monthly payment each and every month, depending on their traffic loading. You scale all the way down to, or all the way up to a restaurant that has 3,800 locations under 2 brand names that we're in discussions with right now, and they see 500 to 600 people per day in each of those 3,800 locations, so we get great foot traffic. A percentage logs on, that creates our impression counts, and that, in our estimate, at moderate per ad revenues, would get us to about $4 million total for the year. And that's pretty good for something that was generating 0 the day before we got there. Our first customer installation and partner was at LA Fitness. We've completed our proof of concept, and we've installed at 350 of their 700 locations. We're now conducting on average 60,000 logins per day for folks that are at the gym, and we just hit our highest yesterday, and 96,000 people were logged in successfully across the 350 locations. Very important to them because they're streaming audio nonstop, and if you work out 5 days a week, like I don't, you would probably consume your data plan in about 5 days at an hour per chunk. So it's a big deal in certain environments. In this configuration, at just one account, we've been producing almost 2 million video ads and 20 million display ads that show up on the landing page. At full tilt for these 350 locations, when we get the advertising linked successfully with all the advertisers we want, optimize the process, our estimate is that we'll generate about $30,000 per month. And it's a very conservative revenue share with the folks at LA Fitness due to their generosity. So far, complete positive customer feedback, and that was a big concern when we went in because they're very concerned about their brand being denigrated by advertising in an environment where people are paying to be there, but they're thrilled to have Wi-Fi, so it's a non-issue. Barriers to entry for us and competitors is that networking and advertising knowledge and that which it takes to get this all enabled is pretty rare traveling together. We lacked the second part of that pretty dramatically by our own admission. But that's what we wanted to jump into, and now we've got our nose broken many, many times over the last 6 months, and it's starting to get fairly straight at this point. And we think that we're right at the cusp of being able to now replicate this regularly. We are also installed at 2 smaller locations that I forgot to mention. One is Martha's Vineyard in the common area, and we're in 10 of the city of Boston's parks, and part of their login process as well. They have very low foot traffic, and they were done mostly for the logo value of them in the developmental phase. Developing the channel is a little bit challenging. Getting into the right people and getting them to understand a brand new message is not as quite as simplistic as we thought it might be, and there are very many technical challenges associated with delivering an ad through an access point that you do not own in under a second. We believe we have solved that by developing our own ad serving platform in the cloud, which takes out all the challenges that are created by the access point itself. And that is our proprietary software at this point. There's limited awareness of this process. Chances are that none of you even thought of this kind of thing before you sat down today, and that bodes well for our overall opportunity, I think. We're very competitive with other solutions. Some are looking to log in with a social network and grow a following that way, but ours is driven toward largely monetization, which is not their focus. There's probably 30 companies doing it that way, logging in with Facebook and whatnot, but we're delivering completion rates of 80%. So a video ad that we play is watched from start to finish 80% of the time, whereas on TV, you might be less than 10% when you incorporate the effects of lack of attention, bad material, a DVR with a fast forward button, and a refrigerator 30 feet away. So I don't know about you, but I, oddly, since I'm in the advertising business here, I rarely see a full commercial. High click-through rates of 10 times what we're seeing on internet ads. Less than 1% is what you get if you do the same thing on an internet page. We are delivering it in their hand where it's highly interactive if they so choose. We're adding geo-targeting so that we can increase our inventory and get that to where we can advertise for, say, the Chicagoland Cadillac dealers, as well as someone who wants to be national in footprint advertising. We've got some early installations, and our interest from the channel is quite good because they're all looking to add value and add a return on investment to an otherwise commodity-driven sale. We have some competitors, Boingo, who you may have interacted with at an airport. That's their big focus. They go for monthly subscriptions for Wi-Fi, but they also do some for free at the airport, such as Orange County's. AT&T is doing the same model. Interestingly, they're seeing the same challenges that we saw at the access point level and haven't figured out to go to the cloud-based proxy server yet. But they're only trying to monetize 150,000 access points that they own for the benefit of their wireless customers. And MediaShift was an early-in player in this a couple of years ago, but they committed to too much revenue outbound. They were sharing 70 to 80% of the revenues they generated rather than retaining 50 to 80. We have several routes to market that we think will expedite our growth over the next 12 months. It does take time to get these things in process and embedded in their sales organization, but bandwidth providers are looking to add value to their pitch. Managed service providers who manage guest Wi-Fi or regular Wi-Fi networks, such as Viasat, infrastructure providers such as American Tower, who put in wireless networks across the United States, system integrators who are selling Cisco and Meraki and Ruckus APs every day, and distributors who keep it on the shelf for those same system integrators are looking for ways to make it look better. We're fully engaged with American Tower and Graybar, a distributor at this point. We're far along the line with Frontier Communications, who is launching a test in their lab this week. If it's successful, they're going to install us at Frontier Stadium in Denver and then embed it in their sales organization for resale. Festify is going to install us at BJ's restaurants within the next 30 days, and we'll have a revenue share with them as well. And they also handle all the mobile applications such as concerts, where they have temporary Wi-Fi implemented. Viasat would be the ultimate get for us. They serve 100,000 networks globally, and they decide what goes onto the guest Wi-Fi networks. We had them hot and heavy going till the end of the year, and then they said we had to push it off to June. So it goes when you deal with the giants, but the value proposition has been accepted by them. It's just not the highest priority. They're fighting through with some mergers going on. Our financial projections simplistically look to be about $1 million this year. If we can successfully get the ads rolling with LA Fitness and get some outside direct advertising sales, we think we can grow that quickly to $3 million the following year with our initial reseller deployments and propagation through their sales force and some success stories. And from there, I think we'll see a big springboard on a recurring basis, because each one we sign up will be built upon for the following year. We really like the recurring revenue aspects of this. There's multiple things that can push those numbers dramatically up. This technology can scale globally, and I'm talking with a gentleman who also represents, is interested in getting the rights to do this in Manila and in the UK. For the funds, we're looking to develop our software better, add some headcount, and improve their compensation. Most have been working on a commission-only basis today. And cover some operational expenses, and touch a lot of bases in marketing to get the word out a little bit better on a fairly unfamiliar concept. And we want to attend some trade shows which are nicely verticalized along the lines that we're doing today. Our team right now is 4 sales representatives that are marketing to the network hosts who would sign the agreements to say that we can do this at their convention centers or at their retail stores. And we have 1 systems engineer and product manager who handles all the technical aspects of implementation. And my advisory board consists of just a single individual so far, a gentleman who I've known for about 30 years, and he's a partner at Procopio law firm in San Diego, and he focuses on a lot of intellectual property type implementations. A little bit about me, and I read the 35 years in technology sales, and it makes me think that maybe I should be in the museum part of the building rather than out here. But I've been in technology sales for a long time, had some great successes with an IPO at MTI, as well as a sale to IBM after I had departed from FiberLink Communications, where I was one of the original founders. The opportunity that I'm here to talk about today is for a $500,000 investment. It's also convertible notes at 6% with a 2-year maturity, and 20% discount on the first official round of investment with a $5 million cap. Our exit strategy is predominantly going to be a company sale, not a IPO. There's some of the same companies that I talked about throughout the organization have already laughingly indicated that sooner or later they'll own us and they won't have to call us. I look forward to that day, but they're large-scale organizations that are looking to add value to their own portfolio. If you'd like to see a little bit more about what guest Wi-Fi looks like, we have a 2-minute video on our homepage. And if you'd like to see a demo, you can go to activeads.net/demo. If you have time, feel free to follow us on the social media. We do post on social media every day through an organization that I have hired to get the word out about guest Wi-Fi and optimize and acquire the positioning for guest Wi-Fi monetization within the search engine environment. Any questions at this point?